mass has on the amount of cargo a boat can carry. My name is Lucas Gardner. My science teacher's name is Ms. Bellion, and I am in period 7. My independent variable is the mass of the boat measured in grams, and my dependent variable is the amount of pennies it took to completely submerge the ship. My hypothesis was that if I had mass to the bottom and side of my ship, then it will be more steady because the weight will act as a ballast, allowing, or stabilize it, allowing it to hold more pennies. The purpose of this experiment was to determine how much, if I add mass to my boat, the more mass that I add, the more cargo I can carry. So yeah, that's what I thought. And when I added mass, I used a scale, I used grams, and a ruler to determine the weight, length, and height of my boat. I also built my boat to look like the Titanic, I guess, sort of, and used it to make the design, I guess. Yeah. So also I used a ballast, and a ballast is pretty much a weight put in the bottom of a ship to help its stability, and yeah. And density is the is how close or far away molecules are to each other. For instance, metal is more dense than air because the molecules are closer together. Yeah, and while my independent variable is mass, it's important to understand how mass and density are related. Yeah, so if an object is more dense than metal, then it will sink, and if it is less dense, it will float. Water is more dense than oil, so that's why oil floats on water, or no, water is more dense than oil, and that's why it floats. And so it's important to understand how density, volume, and stability are related. In conclusion, it's important to understand how densities, mass, and stability are related, so I could determine what materials to make my boat out of, also how to make my boat in a way that would allow it to carry the most weight. Also, a related story I read during my experiment involved Archimedes, a scientist whose king gave a man gold to make him a crown with, and the king suspected the man switched some gold for silver. So he asked Archimedes how to be sure. So Archimedes went to his bath, and on getting into the tub, observed that the more his body sank into the water, the more volume of water spilled out of the tub. So I guess this observation made him jump out of the tub and rush home naked, yelling "Eureka!" Because he understood that the more mass an object has, the more volume of water, I guess, spills when submerged in it. Yeah, and yeah. Another thing we did was we did experiment with oranges. So I guess if you peel an orange, a peeled orange sinks in water, and a non-peeled orange floats because the rind of the orange is very porous and filled with tiny pockets of air. So even though you're removing mass when you peel the orange, the unpeeled orange is more dense and sinks in the water. Two other concepts we learned about involved buoyancy and displacement. So buoyancy is the ability of an object to float or sink in water the ability to sink in water or float in water or some other fluid like honey. And displacement is measuring the mass of an object that when submerged in water takes the same mass away from it. yeah, buoyancy or buoyant force is stronger the more volume there is in a boat, and the buoyant force in my boat was increased by the amount of mass I put into it. And I increased it by changing the height of the boat, by adding steep long sides, and yeah, so the more buoyancy there is, yeah, an object floats in water according to how dense it is, I guess, and the objects I used in my boat were, or the materials I used were adhesive, or aluminum foil, popsicle sticks, wood skewers, staples, cardboard, a paper towel roll, and yeah, and the things that I used during my experiment were a highlighter, a science binder, a ruler, razor blade, scissors, and a food scale. Yeah, so I know, and I tested and know that all the materials I used either have air pockets or are less dense than water. Yeah. So, yeah. The experimental controls I had were, first I kept the same temperature, which was cold, and in the tub, the same temperature of water. And another one was I mostly spread out the pennies evenly, one by one, putting them into the boat, and that I kept the depth of the water like 8 inches in length or in height, and that I drained the boat in a sink every time. Yeah. And how I built the boat: first I gathered the materials. I got 19 inches of aluminum foil and cut a paper towel roll in half down the middle and glued that to the aluminum, and then folded the sides of the aluminum foil over onto the paper towel roll, and put 6 popsicle sticks, I guess 6 popsicle sticks in between on each side and 2 on the ends, and sprayed them with spray adhesive, and then I lined the bottom of the boat with wood skewers that had their ends cut, and sprayed them with more spray adhesive, and I think I had more aluminum to that.
Can you see your boat?
Yeah.
Just go.
Yeah.
You can keep talking, I just wanna look at it.
Yeah.
No, I wanna hold
Oh, you
it.
can hold it, yeah. Sure.
Yeah, you keep talking.
And I guess I added 3 skewers in the middle there, and in between, and they were cut in half, so I said that they could fit, I guess. And I guess I filled the tub with water, and filled the tub with water, and did the experiments a couple times, drained the boat. I changed the mast by changed the mast by first patching up the holes of the staples, because I put staple holes. You can't tell by looking at it there, but there were staple holes like in between each of the popsicle sticks, and so I just patched those up with aluminum and hot glue, and also second changing the I also added three or 4. I think I might have added three more cut in half wood skewers in between to add more like stability, and did those a few times. And so yeah, my observations were, first I observed that the first trial, I guess, was that my sides or my ends were shorter, especially this end was shorter, and it was letting in water. But when I did the pennies and all that, I got up to 670 pennies. I have that in grams as well, but I didn't really put it into this, but yeah. So I did that over again. I think I tried to put more pennies on this side of the boat, the more, I guess, dominant, I guess, but just higher. And I got a number of 822, which was way better. And yeah, I did that over again, but I think I might have not have drained the boat, possibly, maybe not have drained it as much, or maybe put the pennies in too long, or I mean too fast, I guess. And I got a number of 802 and a median of 798 and a mean of 760. And I guess in my IV2, I got my boat's weight was 848 because I patched up the two short sides, and I guess I did try to like even it out more, because obviously it's like looked a little weird. Yeah, but I got a number of 859 on the first trial, and I tried to even them out a little bit more, the pennies, I guess, in my second trial, and I got a number of 853. And the last trial, I think I drained it out like a little bit longer. I waited longer, and I got a number of 949 pennies and a median of 863 and a mean of 781. And then I changed on my IV3. I changed the boat by adding 3 more support beam things and filling up the staple hole, because I realized that the water was coming in from them. So I still filled them. I filled them up, but also put another layer of aluminum foil, like a whole new layer on just the whole boat, and it was like I added a lot more weight. I got to 184 to 253 grams instead of that, and I got the number 1023, and I think I drained the boat pretty well. I spread out the pennies better, and I got the same number, 1023. My last trial I didn't drain it as long, and I put the pennies in fast, so I got a number of 1014 pennies, and a median of 1022, and a mean of 1019, and yeah. So, in conclusion, I think my hypothesis was supported, and the wood supports and all the wood that I added seemed to add to the stability of the boat, and yeah, I guess my graph was positive. Yeah, my graph was positive and going up, so everything was pretty much good. And my inference, my results, my experiments were confirmed. I guess my hypothesis was worked out pretty well, and I think if I were to do it next time, I'd probably work more on the size of the boat, and I think maybe not staple the boat like I did. Yeah, but yeah. So thank you for. I hope you liked the presentation, and any questions?
Yes, lots of questions.
Yes.
I have to